The Disney Channel movie Get a Clue premiered in 2002 and immediately became one of my favorite movies with its mystery plotline and fashion-obsessed main character played by Lindsay Lohan. As an 11-year-old whose homo-gayness was just starting to come out of hibernation, Get a Clue felt like a safe harbor on my epic odyssey of becoming a confident queer adult, or what cis-straight coworkers simply refer to as sassy. Would you use that word to describe Odysseus after he defeated the Cyclops? Actually, does sassy just mean that somebody does anal? Because those ancient Greeks knew how to pass the time on an extended boat trip. My point is, the production of Get a Clue is the only ancient history I care about, as it was the last of 3 movies that Lindsay Lohan was contractually obligated to participate in as part of her first Disney contract, right after The Parent Trap and Life Size. And I gotta say, after rewatching this former childhood favorite, I can't help but feel like Disney should have found a better movie to have Lindsay cap off this era of her career. What once felt like a chic and cosmopolitan New York mystery now just feels like a series of weird conversations in Toronto, albeit with a title song that still holds up, plus enough Lisa Frank fashions and crepe paper hair shapes to open up a stationery store. So grab your magnifying glass and let's get a clue in a super sleuth installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other such content here on the web, and we break it down like the case files in a filing cabinet and look at each individual clip to say, is that a red herring or is that a hot lead? And Sweetheart Mama Baby, I used to love this movie. The summer it came out, it was everything, but I was not prepared to feel so much the opposite when I rewatched it this time. It's a long one. I mean, it's actually quite a short movie, but it feels long because of all of the nonsense talking. But before we get into my critiques, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more Lindsay Lohan or DCOM movies broken down. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I'm coming out with a new cold case to open up. Also, I've got merch and a Patreon. I want to know how many of you remember this iconic song from Get a Clue, which I think outlasts the movie in terms of cultural impact.
And a voice inside tells me what I must do. Wake up, who knew? It's me, it's you, Get a Clue.
It's the new millennium now, so your pop punk band doesn't need any members with a natural singing voice. In fact, what the kids of Y2K want is an unnatural singing voice, meaning nasally to the point where it sounds like Rizzo the Rat. Think about it, what's more punk than lead vocals by Pee Wee Herman with a sensitive gag reflex? Wake up, who knew? It's me, it's you, Get a Clue. Yeah, it's like hanging out at the skate park on Sesame Street. I used to loiter around there selling little bags of craft glitter, which is like the puppet version of cocaine, but it makes them even hornier. Again, it's hard for me to explain the hold that this song had over me for an entire summer vacation at age 12, watching my sisters play The Sims on our basement computer for hours on end over soggy bowls of cereal. Ew, why did I just say that like someone who's writing their first novel? Uneaten Fruit Loops floating as lazily as the sun-drenched inflatables in our above-ground swimming pool. Okay, Hemingway, I'll be sure to download a free sample on my Amazon Kindle. So we all here in the public know this song as Get a Clue by Milo and Otis, named after the 2 animated characters in the music video that they would also show on Disney, although the actual name of the band who performs this song is Prozac, a name they were asked to change before appearing on the soundtrack. Disney Channel probably just didn't want kids finding out about antidepressants because, hey, nothing's gonna help you get over your parents' recent divorce as much as a tense, awkward, co-parented trip to the Magic Kingdom. So call your travel agent today. Haha, stop crying and buy a churro. Ew, that was my Mickey Mouse. Ew, kill it. So we get lots of exteriors of, you know, the Upper East Side, or no, the Upper West Side, some New York landmarks, even though, as we said, the majority, aside from those B-team exteriors, the movie was shot in Toronto. And it stars a very fashionable, granted very rich and somewhat spoiled teen named Lexi, along with her equally rich friend Jennifer, who is played by Brenda Song, one of my favorite Disney Channel stars of the time and to this day. Anyway, get ready for a lot of awkward silences in this movie. It's a lot. They play like an upright bass over it. They're like, dong, 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 dong. It's like, just cut that out.
Hey there, sunshine.
Morning, Jen.
Awake yet?
Now I am.
That's me coming out of hypersleep when the Supreme Court launches all the gay people into space. Queers of America, don't let anyone from the government lure you onto a rocket ship, even if they say it's going to Chromatica. Turns out that's just the state of nirvana you reach when you burn up on the surface of the sun. This is an era of Disney Channel where they just did not try to make these single take, one-sided phone calls work. I don't understand. She said, "Are you awake yet?" Now I am. To be fair, I feel like the script asked Lindsay to let out a big yawn and a stretch there, like most people do when they wake up in movies. But it seems like Lindsay was not gonna let them have it. She said, "My uvula on the screen? Not today, sis." I bet you the director was like, "Would it look more realistic if you opened your mouth maybe?" And she said, "No, this is how I yawn. Small-mouthed and dainty, like a Japanese pop star." They were like, "Whatever, let's just get through this movie so that we can use your name in all the marketing materials. If the quality is secondary." And secondary the quality is. However, maybe one of the other reasons that this movie really appealed to me as a kid was the use of technology. There are some spy gadgets, not as many as I remember, and also the girls like video chat in the beginning of the day to decide on their outfits. I loved anything where the person had a computer in their bedroom as a kid. I was like, luxury. And now look at me, 2 computers and no bedroom. Just kidding, I have one. Lexi comes downstairs. She has a little sister who is a little bit of a weirdo playing with spy gadgets. Yeah, weird until you need her help, Lexi. Be nice. Also, they have live-in help, so you know they're rich. And we see the mom once this entire movie. The main thing is we find out that the dad is a reporter, and he's reading the newspaper, and he's like, "Lexi, your article is in the newspaper with your picture." And it's like a human interest piece, although some at the school refer to it as a gossip column, about 2 teachers at her school, Miss Dawson and Mr. Walker, who have been known to be having a secret affair. She said, "Oh, I didn't know this was gonna be in the newspaper. I submitted it and they accepted it." Her school newspaper article just made it big, and it also tells a lot about the personal lives of teachers. Like, what? She's nosy. They want to make it seem like Lexi doesn't understand what she's doing by publishing this article, because she's like, "Oh, it's about my teacher, Miss Dawson, and her friendship with Mr. Walker." It's like, friendship, but you're implying that it's something more. So, what is the truth? But anyway, our girl Lexi heads into school with her pink pleather jacket and equally pink lensed sunglasses, and the whole school is like, "We love that you published this story. Like, we had no idea about Miss Walker and Mrs. Dawson. Everyone seems impressed except seemingly Jack, who is the main editor of the school newspaper. He seems to have a low opinion of the type of human interest articles that Lexi loves to write.
Especially a colleague from one of our, well, softer news areas.
I actually owe you a thank you. It was because you wouldn't run my story in the school paper that I sent it to the Daily Examiner in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. Now you know better than to hold back a good reporter because of some personal bias. Take that, Jack. I know it stung. Because when Lexi Gold shatters the glass ceiling, she does it by swinging your around like a baseball bat. Also, why is his fake New York accent an exact copy of Steve from Sex and the City?
Okay, Nancy Drew, I think you've been sleuthing around the hidden staircase just a little too long.
No, I'm not convinced, but I have a really well-trained ear for this because I used to be the ball boy for the New York Yankees. That's what I called my volunteer position in the handicap stall of the stadium bathroom. What? It was the only place in the city with enough people to make my 7th inning stretch. I have family who watches this show. Okay, Lexi is just super sleuth investigative journalist of the world. She is straight up exposing the archdiocese for the child abuse, because not literally, but in like an elementary school type of way. Shouldn't have made the comparison. We're gonna leave it in. Anyway, Lexi walks out of the bathroom and she sees Miss Dawson talking to Mr. Walker, and he seems upset. In fact, it kind of seems like he's breaking things off with her.
Orlando, I love you.
Okay, well, I don't love you.
I'm sorry I ever met you. One of us has to leave Millington, and I assure you it's not going to be me.
This is exactly how I felt recently when a guy I went out with suddenly lost interest in me. I said, this weekly DILF-themed underwear party isn't big enough for the both of us. And then, like Miss Dawson, I left crying with my pixie haircut looking like Harry Potter after he sweated through the Battle of Hogwarts. So Lexi feels just a little bit of guilt because she feels like, oh, her article exposing the teacher's friendship is what caused the breakup. And she asks her dad, she's like, have you ever written an article that caused something else to happen? And he does not answer the question. He's like, yeah, one time I did. And there are stories all around us. You just have to find them. This is where I instantly start getting confused about the movie's main message, also what its opinion of journalism is. You almost think it's gonna be like in Harriet the Spy, where she learns like, oh, she can write shady things in her journal, or she can write cool class newspapers about good things. You know, like she'll learn a lesson about being a journalist with ethics. I'm not sure we learn anything. Lexi basically doesn't learn anything from this whole experience. We don't get any clear moral answer about whether what she did by writing that original article was good or bad, but we do know that it's triggered a spring-loaded trap mama because the next morning they are pulling Mr. Walker's car out of the East River. And the whole school is buzzing with the news that he's missing. The teachers are wearing all black. The principal, Miss Stern, is particularly sad looking about the whole thing. You see Mr. Goldblum try to talk to her and then walk by. However, then when they get to Miss Walker's class, she's smiling, happy as a clam. That's never really explained. Like, they want to set up a bunch of suspects in this whodunit mystery, but some of the things just never make sense. Like, why is she happy at all? I guess she thinks like, oh, she said one of us has to leave Millington, and she just assumes he took the advice and did that, but it's like, his car crashed into a river. You should be scared.
The man she loves is missing. And even worse, yesterday he told her to take a hike. She must be wigging.
We can always hope, Lexi, but no, I think they actually cut her real hair to look like the bangs that Courtney Cox Arquette had in Scream 3. Okay, fine, I'll stop talking about Miss Dawson's haircut, which is what happens when you go to the East Village barber and ask for the Susanna Kaysen from Girl Interrupted. Anyway, Lexi gets pulled into a meeting with a detective who has some questions about this article she wrote and whether she's seen anything else. Lexi, being, you know, the upstanding character she is, tells him everything she knows, including the fight or disagreement that they had in the hallway. It's like, you're a convenient Rosetta Stone for this case, aren't you, honey? Seeing everything? What? Can't they check, like, security tapes or something? Throughout Lexi's voiceover, we get the feel that she knows her labels. She's referencing beauty treatments a lot. She's talking about fashion. Like, whoever decided that black was good for mourning was so ahead of their time. And she can't help but giving some grooming advice to even the cops.
Has anyone ever told you that you'd look better without the knobs?
No.
On the contrary, women seem to like my rigid fishhook facial hair. They say it makes them feel like a wild sea bass when I'm eating that. I cannot stop thinking about these flat-ironed, fruit-by-the-foot looking hair extensions that they glued onto his face and pretended it was a mustache. He looks like a cartoon prospector who just saw a ghost. Next, Miss Dawson comes in for questioning, and you can tell that the detectives are suspicious of her. Lexi saw you talking. Well, Lexi's a nosy little girl. She's like, well, I should call my lawyer. Like, you should, because you're about to get framed for something, but don't say it like a Goosebumps villain. She's like, I guess I should call my lawyer. All this artificial suspicion. Anyway, Lexi knows better than to believe Miss Dawson could ever do anything to hurt Mr. Walker. Although Jack is like, no, I think we should just stay out of it. And she's like, Mr. Walker could be in trouble. He could be being held for ransom. But Jack is like, whatever, you're trying too hard, Nancy Drew. However, at the mall, we know from what Jennifer is saying that Jack is only acting this way towards Lexi because he has a crush. If you say so, Hollywood, but a lot of times men are just taught to be mean to women. We should stop writing it off like that means he likes you. Well, it shouldn't. He should be nice if he likes me. That's the good way to do it. Anyway, Lexi has another piece of advice conversation with her dad. I'm like, could you two sit at any more couches and talk? This movie is boring. We're at 16 minutes in now. So many convos.
That sounds like detective work.
Well, good reporters are kind of like detectives, but they can't rely on police alone. They've got to do their own investigation.
I agree with your dad, Lexi. the police. By the way, the dad is a full-on lower rate Dustin Hoffman, but regardless, Lexi, dear, sweetie, if your teacher's car somehow ended up in the East River, it would be caught on several different CCTV cameras. But those cops are wasting their time talking to some random 15-year-olds at the high school, fingering each other with mustache wax. After seeing this clip several times, the dialogue no longer makes any sense to me either. He said reporters are kind of like detectives, except reporters have to do their own investigation. Yeah, just like a detective. That's what she said, Dad. Why don't you go investigate where your neck went? Where's your neck? Where do you tie your neckties around? A tube? Your tube neck? So this gives Lexi the inspiration she needs to investigate further. It just feels like a miss for me, like this one conversation with her dad, she's like, I have to investigate. I don't see why she thinks she's more uniquely suited to find a missing person just because she was the one who exposed their workplace romance. I feel like her call to action could be stronger. Like there's an assembly at the school where they're like, we'll be shutting down the school newspaper. Why wasn't the teacher who went missing her school newspaper guy? And then it's like, we're shutting down the newspaper, and she's like, forget about the newspaper, he could be in trouble, blah, blah, blah. You know, then it feels like the school is really gonna change because it almost feels like no one cares about this missing teacher. I know I don't. Anyway, in order to investigate, Lexi has to go visit her spy gadget little sister.
It's a stealth listening device. It means secret.
Girl, you work at the school newspaper. How have you never heard that word before? And it's 2002. Isn't your history class teaching you about the B-2 stealth bombers that we have heroically dropping bombs in Iraq right now? You see, killing a bunch of innocent children is going to be the quickest way to liberate them from Saddam Hussein. Now everyone put your hand on your heart. We are the good guys, USA! That was life in the 2000s. Toxic patriotism. Not that it's gotten much better now, you MAGA idiots. Go to hell. So anyway, the little sister tells Lexi where she can go pick up some spy gadgets of her own, and they go to a spy store and they stock up on some listening devices, some of those glasses that look behind you, although in this movie they're like digitally doing that and not just a mirror. By the way, at school there was this kid with a video camera. His name is Gabe, and he tags along with Jennifer at the spy store, so he's in the mix now too. So we've got our quadruple threat here, and they're all talking about what their next steps in the investigation are. Jennifer's like, oh no, Gabe will be great because he lives right across the street from Miss Dawson's house, so we can keep an eye on her and make sure she's not doing anything suspicious. And then Lexi and Jack are gonna go to Mr. Walker's house, which is in Brooklyn. However, this is where we learn Lexi has never been to Brooklyn. This all seemed much more realistic for like a rich snobby girl to have never been to Brooklyn when I had no idea what New York City was. She also has never been on the subway, so I'm like, okay. It would almost be difficult to grow up for 15 years in New York City and never go to Brooklyn and never end up on the subway. Everyone takes the subway in New York. Regardless, Jennifer gets a feel for just how deep Gabe's obsession for video cameraing goes. Every movie in the early thousands had one kid with the video camera with an LCD screen flipped out where they were like, I record everything. Okay, Mark from Rent, no one cares.
That's my lifetime collection.
Gabe's birth? You mean you even have that on tape?
My dad just got me started really young, and I've just been recording things ever since.
Gabe said, vlog life. Yeah. Way to put the content first, babe. He's been carrying a GoPro, shooting everything since the first time he tore his mom's during childbirth. A moment he still has on VHS tape in his bedroom. David Dobrik saw this character and said, I want to do that, but with white privilege. Again, the dialogue in this movie feels carelessly put together because it sometimes takes some time to understand what each line is actually saying. Like, did somebody write this screenplay while skydiving? Obviously, Gabe didn't mean to imply that he was recording his own birth, but it's hard to figure that out because all of these independent clauses are getting more tangled together than that ball of penises that forms at an orgy if the air is too dry. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that really happens because Big N always brings a travel humidifier to the party. Okay, so they're spying on Miss Walker, Miss Dawson. These two teachers, I cannot with the names, as usual. And she doesn't seem to be doing anything too specific. She's like doing a workout tape. By the way, I'm the new foster parent of a little puppy named Tucson, but I'm calling her Toast. She's a golden Pomeranian, and she's been laying here this whole video, but now she's right here asking for pets. She doesn't love getting picked up, so I'm not gonna try to hold her up to this bright light, but she's adorable. You can adopt Pomeranians just like her from OC Pom Rescue. I'll put their URL below. Anyway, it's time for Lexi to have the ride of her life visiting Brooklyn for the first time.
Yes, I made it. I can't wait to tell Jennifer. How interesting. What a riot. I mean, who knew?
She said black people, openly Jewish wizard, racial integration. Toto, I don't think we're in the Upper East Side anymore. Are you Toto? Again, I just don't believe someone in Lexi's position would have never been to Brooklyn before. Like, not even for a classmate's quinceañera at the Botanic Gardens. But this particular station in Brooklyn, Carroll Street, I used to hook up with a professor of genetics who lived off that stop. I would ride all the way out there at like 1 a.m. just to be like, let me process your DNA samples. Nope, that's too much. There could be babies watching this YouTube channel. Let's just pretend that's the reason my hand gestures and facial expressions are so over-exaggerated, and not because I'm subconsciously desperate to feel seen. Hey, look at me, look at me. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw you blinking. Anyway, Lexi is trying to tell Jack how to get around Brooklyn when it's like he actually lives there. And they make it seem pretty clear that nobody in Brooklyn knows fashion. Anyway, Lexi clearly understands that she's the Manhattanite main character, thinking that nobody in Brooklyn's ever seen a pair of white and pink polka dotted bell bottoms before. She is bringing the fashion.
You're like a store mannequin.
You mean like a dummy on display? Excuse us, sir.
Yes, Lexi, the homeless people wear wigs in Brooklyn. You think having nice hair is exclusive to the wealthy elite? Besides, it gives him an extra layer of insulation because those winter hats from American Apparel are tissue thin. But actually what Lexi is noticing here is that this man is wearing the same jacket that Mr. Walker had on yesterday. And she's like, there could only be one jacket that hideous in all of New York City. So you see, she like has an eye for fashion and that's how she catches these things. The only thing is, first of all, that's a normal jacket. Second of all, he couldn't have like spilled coffee on it yesterday during the argument and she's like, the same stain or like a tear. That way she's not just like, no, I'm sure it's not a coincidence because no one's ever had the same jacket as someone else. Speaking of the wealthy elite, I don't know if anyone else heard that Kylie Jenner is a climate criminal for having her private jet take off for 3-minute flights. But even for us normal people, every lifestyle has a certain amount of CO2 emissions, and our carbon footprint has an impact on climate change. That's why I'm so excited to be partnering with the sponsor of today's video, Ren, which is a simple and effective way to make a difference in the climate crisis. Ren is a website where you can calculate your carbon footprint and then help offset it by participating in a variety of carbon reduction projects like tree planting, rainforest protections, and more. With just a few simple questions, I was able to find out what my carbon footprint was, and that helps me reduce it while also offsetting the remainder using Ren. Plus, you see where your money is going with Ren. I've seen other services like this, but they don't offer the same diligent tracking that Ren does with things like satellite imagery and even measuring the size of tree trunks to make sure that we're making an impact. Projects like biochar right here in California, they help prevent wildfires in California's old growth forests by removing the dead and flammable trees and using a special process to turn them into what is called biochar, which keeps the carbon out of the atmosphere for thousands of years. Wildfires have become an increasingly big problem as long as I've lived in California, so it feels good to be helping support this organization. Offset your carbon footprint on Ren. The first 100 people to sign up using the link in the description will have 10 extra trees planted in their name. So Lexi and Jack show up to Mr. Walker's house and immediately see the principal, Miss Stern, leaving, and they're like, what is she doing here? So that casts new suspicion onto her. Regardless, when Lexi and Jack go up, the door is unlocked, so they just let themselves, if a door is unlocked, you can let yourself in. It's not illegal according to movies. Breaking and entering? No, invited guest. So they're sleuthing around. Something tells me they dubbed in a scream from somebody else. I feel like with her husky voice, Lindsay Lohan's scream would sound a little more like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Lexi, the correct reaction to seeing that man is, "Oh, Mr. Sheffield, ah." Oh, that's nasally. "Wake up, who knew? It's me, it's you, get a clue." Someone help, I can't stop free associating 90s references and callbacks. I always knew this day would come. Someone has to put a stake through my heart or I'll never know peace. Back at Gabe's house, they're spying on Mrs. Walker. Mr. Goldblum comes in and she hugs him and then kind of ushers him out. Meanwhile, that guy who just showed up behind Lexi describes himself as a detective named Detective Meanie. And he basically tells the kids they shouldn't be messing around in this and they need to go away. But when they're leaving, Lexi has more fashion-based understanding that he's a liar. She's like, he was wearing a authentic Spumoni suit and no detective could ever afford that. It's like, girl, maybe he has a rich wife, you don't know, or a husband, you don't know. But she is like, I'm just saying it's interesting. I don't know if I trust him being who he says he is. Right about then is when they arrive at Jack's house in Brooklyn. So she's like, I didn't know you lived in Brooklyn, ugh. And then she learns other really sad facts about him, like how his mom has a job. Oh, also his brother works for the government.
That's my brother.
You have a brother?
Yeah, that's Todd.
Does he live here?
No.
Where is he?
I don't know, Lexi, maybe there's some context clues we can pull from the bold text written on Jack's shirt, which he's managing to wear twice in one scene. If these are the detective skills she's bringing in the search for her missing teacher, can we all just agree that we're most likely recovering a body here? I feel like the kids will do better solving this case if we remove the pressure of having to find him alive. Since I was 12 seeing this movie, I found it distracting that Jack is wearing the same navy shirt in that picture, because usually when someone's wearing the same clothes in a movie, that signifies that it was on the same day. I bet it was just like a weird continuity error where they were like, we already took the picture, we can't change it. But it makes it feel like they just framed a Polaroid of Bug Hall with the boom operator that they snapped outside like 30 minutes before this scene. By the way, Bug Hall, do you remember him as Alfalfa in the Little Rascal movie? What's he doing? What's she doing? She's playing on her own with her toy, yay! She's getting comfortable. Anyway, the shirt thing is so weird and it completely undermines the rest of the movie where Lexi is like spotting t-shirts from miles away and being like, that means he's circumcised, you know? She uses her photographic fashion knowledge for every aspect of the case, but she can't be like, oh, you seem to only wear that one Navy shirt. Is your brother in the Navy? In the Navy! How come you know all about seasons and styling and garments and designers when it comes to being nosy about your teachers who are But I guess all the way out here in Brooklyn, all Lexi can do is just barely contain her disgust at Jack's boiled hot dog lifestyle.
I'm at Millington on a scholarship.
Really?
He's in the Navy.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. Can you maybe not roll your eyes every time something middle class comes out of my mouth? She's like, really? Wow, so sorry your brother died in a submarine battle or whatever. Do you have any hand sanitizer? Luckily for us, Jack had just received Mr. Walker's old computer, which is partially why he is so close to the teacher and cares about his disappearance more than most. So they hack into his files. So they look at the computer and see that it's registered not to Orlando Walker, but someone named Nicholas Petrosian. So the kids are all back in the apartment talking about what they know. The new theory is that Mr. Goldblum from the newspaper was involved with Miss Dawson because they saw through the binoculars her put his arm around her, whatever. Beyond that, the kids Google the name Nicholas Petrosian and find an article from an Arizona newspaper saying a banker by that name disappeared after being the suspect in a $10 million embezzlement and fraud case. It says that he resides in Brighton Beach. The next morning, Lexi is trying to ignore her growing feelings for Jack, although Jennifer sees it, and Jack has all these great ideas, but I can't, once again, get past the hair.
I got it.
What?
Miss Petrosian's address.
Are you serious?
No, are you serious? I couldn't tell if you spent the morning crimping random sections or if your head just got caught under a bike tire. I guess in 2003, the term textured hair actually meant straight hair, but ironed into the texture of accordion blinds. Anyway, Lexi continues to deny that she has feelings for Gabe, but she and Jack go after school up to Brighton Beach to find Mr. Nicholas Petrosian. A woman who ends up being his mother answers first, and then the man himself. himself. Right here in the middle of the second act, our dead man is no longer dead. I don't know how the police didn't think to check his mother's house. I guess they don't have access to his former name change. Like, I don't know. The police seem to be really dragging their feet, if they're even trying to find this guy at all. The NYPD is like, listen, usually when someone who looks like that disappears, it's because they have a whole hard drive full of harmful images of minors, so we're gonna go ahead and not even care too much. Mrs. Petrosian, the older woman who answered the door, has lots of like pendants and jewelry on, and after fashion forward Lexi compliments one of them, she's like, oh thanks, I bought this from a junk sale. It's gonna come up later, I swear. The kids ask Mr. Petrosian / Walker about his alleged fraud and embezzlement issue back in Arizona. So he's like, ugh, you always were good students. And then we have a flashback where he's like, I was a banker. I just landed this big $10 million account working for this boss named Mr. Grandville, who they don't show. Then he says, one day the money went missing, $10 million from that client's account. And then it appeared in an offshore bank account under Nicholas Petrosian's name. So he was being framed for this $10 million theft, and before he could return the money, it was gone again. So he packed a suitcase, faked his own death, and ran away for years. Like, I think a forensic accountant could have helped you out here. Maybe you should just let the police know the truth, because you are innocent. Then again, innocent people have ended up in jail for worse crimes than this. So maybe he could have had like some sort of issue with immigration, since they're clearly supposed to be like, you know, Brighton Beach tends to have a lot of Russian immigrants, and Petrosian makes me think that's what he's supposed to be. So maybe it could be like a immigration issue, or he was in trouble for something else, whatever. I want more reason why he just cut and ran and changed his whole life because of a clear frame job. So anyway, he says he became Mr. Walker, started teaching at a school, he just randomly got his teaching degree, and then met Ms. Dawson, and everything was going well until...
And everything was going great until Lexi's article appeared in the newspaper.
It looks like you were found because of my picture. I'm so sorry, Mr. Walker. I never had any intentions of hurting you.
Oh, I see. So you exposed my workplace romance to the entire city as a fun way of making my life easier? Well, that's not how journalism works, little miss. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Mr. Walker's like, no worries, Lex. You did what you had to do. I mean, there's a substitute art teacher selling smack out of the pottery kiln, but how could you resist the temptation to write a story about your two old teachers? It's great. By the way, these campy flashbacks to the 1980s don't change the fact that this whole part of the second act is all exposition. Sitting there telling a story, oh, I no longer care about the story. How could I, when all of this exciting bank action happened before our main characters were even born? Boo! Boo! I think the audience would feel like a more active part of this movie if Mr. Walker disappeared the day after Lexi's story broke, along with like $10 million that went missing from the school, or some rich fundraising thing, you know, something that was more directly connected to Lexi and the school, so that all of the students and teachers were like, wow, it looks like he stole that money, I can't believe it, and she has to clear his good name. That way it could be like, oh, your picture came out in the newspaper, someone found you, and then instantly started trying to frame you to ruin the new secret identity that you've made for yourself. Cause like this undetermined years ago in the 80s, I'm like, I don't care about that. Back in the 80s, when Mr. Walker ran, he was stalked for months by someone who knew what he did, and he thinks that same person has found him and is now still trying to frame him for the missing money. He knows because when he came home that day, there was a smudged letter on the door saying, meet me at blank hotel. It's hard to read because it's smudged, or Ms. Dawson gets it, you know, basically threatening her. So of course, Lexi has to go to her little sister again and see if there's a way she can use ultraviolet light to help them read the missing words on the note, and they show us that in a long montage. I'm like, oh, up next on Discovery Kids. I guess this all felt cooler when I watched it the first time. I was like, oh, she's spraying liquid on a paper, but now I'm like, those just seem like toys you could buy at Target. So the kids formulate a plan. They say, Mr. Walker, you've got to meet this guy so we can figure out who the mystery person is and clear your name, and also to make sure Ms. Dawson is safe. And the stakes are getting raised. The next day there's an article in the newspaper. The press has found out about out Mr. Walker's past embezzlement case. So her and the kids gather all their spy gear and move on to the hotel lobby where our final climax plays out. Everyone's in position, but then things start to go awry when multiple mystery people who could be the person framing Mr. Walker show up. And Ms. Dawson shows up even though they were like, we sent a letter telling her to stay home. It's like, she's gonna die. Couldn't you have called the police when you learned that death threat was happening? Whatever.
No, not Miss Dawson. It's Mr. Goldblum. What? It's that homeless guy with Mr. Walker's coat. Mrs. P? It's Miss Stern.
Ugh, all right, start looking for new jobs, everyone. Looks like Lexi just stumbled upon your monthly teacher and faculty fest at the Radisson. You know that now she's gonna dedicate an entire page of the yearbook to that. And she'll be like, what? I didn't know you didn't want me to tell you. At this point, the movie feels like I'm waiting for the next seminar to begin at a work conference. If this is supposed to be our big exciting climax, then why am I about to ask one of those extras if they have the password for the business center's Wi-Fi? Again, this is supposed to be like the ultimate confusion where they're like, whatever theories we had are completely discombobulated now because all of these people are in the mix. Why is everyone here? And that goes for the homeless person that they see being chased by a security guard. They're like, maybe he has something to do with it because he has the jacket. The note was just vague, being like, bring what belongs to me to the hotel or Ms. Dawson is getting mutilated. And so finally the mystery man shows up and ba-bum-bum, it's the guy pretending to be Detective Meanie. It's actually Mr. Granville, the old boss from the bank. And he was like, give me what's mine. Mr. Walker is like, I'll give you half now. And that's when Mr. Granville, everyone's Mr. and Mrs. So formal here. Joe Granville, he's like half, and then the tape listener makes a sound and their cover's blown. So a chase gives way. Some of the kids run after Mr. Granville, some of them go after the homeless guy. Jack and Lexi are the ones chasing Granville, and you can tell he's nefarious because he's threatening the children. What lever is that? Why was it designed to both shut out the lights and turn on that produce mister? But wait, because once Lexi's bracelet gets caught on something, fashion is her downfall. We get the closest thing to suspense that this movie has. Whew, that was close. I think we're supposed to believe that Lexi just narrowly escaped having her face scalded off by hot steam. She almost said, Lexi and Jack continue chasing, and they run past this locker room, which has a weirdly placed sign calling it a spa. And when Lexi goes in there, she sees Ms. Dawson tied up and with a face mask on, and she's like, I got a flyer for a free day at the spa, and then it was really a kidnapping. It's like, girl, seems like you just wandered through a boiler room into an employees only locker room. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, whatever kidnapping or torture porn happens to you is squarely in your court, your field of blame. So Lexi puts Ms. Dawson in the shower, which is not any safer than when she was sitting 2 feet away. She could still be killed by whoever this guy is. But they go to chase the homeless person who they think is also connected to this because he's running around wearing Mr. Walker's coat. But it turns out to be just a good old red herring.
Ladies and gentlemen, City Council member Gary I Care.
To stand before you today as a man with some small insight into the poverty on our streets.
Oh, you couldn't have gotten that insight by just like serving food at a homeless shelter or something? These politicians. He said, no, let me unnecessarily add to the homeless population and take up some of their already scarce resources while also using it as an excuse to go a few days without washing my ass. This was such a weird thing to use as a misdirect because it feels so forgettable. We saw this homeless guy once. Maybe if he had appeared some other place or if he had another item belonging to Nicholas Petrosian. Either way, he's like, this coat is the only kindness someone showed me. A man gave me this coat, blah, blah, blah. I was never suspicious of the homeless guy because I thought he could have just found the coat. I would have liked it if they chased after him when they first saw him in Brooklyn and they couldn't catch up to him and they were like, why does he have that coat? But, you know, he's the secret politician, so he was running from the kids because he thought that they were gonna recognize him. So it would make sense while also building up the mischief around him a little more. Lexi is sitting there watching like, wait, you're telling me some people don't have homes? Ugh, Brooklyn sucks. That's her. Mr. Petrosian, or no, Mr. Granville, the bad guy, is still making a break for it through the hotel lobby. And that's when the kids sit down, because now they're being chased by the guards of the hotel. So they sit down with Mrs. Petrosian, who is there for Sunday tea or whatever. And she's like, where are your grandkids? Where are your grandkids? So the security guard leaves them alone. And Lexi can use her spy glasses to keep an eye out, because it seems like Mr. Granville comes in and he's just like pretending to read a newspaper. Why wouldn't he leave the hotel? He's like trying to blend in there. So right when he starts to run for it, Jack tackles him right through a cake for some physical comedy. And that's when that detective from before shows up. He took Lexi's advice, shaving off the hair extensions from his face. And we finally get some clarity on all of the nonsense, including why Mr. Goldblum and Miss Stern were there.
It seems that Miss Stern liked Mr. Walker. She went snooping around his place to see if he had disappeared just to avoid her. Mr. Goldblum was being rejected by Miss Dawson. He soon set his sights on Miss Stern. And voila, all's well that ends well.
Oh, and you think this is ending well? Because I would need a flowchart and a graphing calculator to interpret Lexi's year-end wrap-up there. She's like, the solution to our mystery was so obvious, and then starts giving the oral history of ancient Sumerians, all over a long, boring, slow-motion shot of two teachers who have barely been in this movie whatsoever. I hate that she's like explaining so many of those misdirects and mysteries about why people are at different houses with this voiceover. It's also weak. Miss Stern loved Mr. Walker, so she went to the man whose car was in the East River to see if she was being avoided because he didn't like her. He faked his own death, mama. He must really not want your unwanted advances. And then Mr. Goldblum was at Miss Walker's house trying to come on to her, and that's why he was there, but then now these two teachers found each other. We never got the feeling that Mr. Goldblum had any feelings or jealousy towards Mr. Walker. So that never felt like he was a suspect either. Like, how was I to suspect him if I didn't know he had that motive? They could have easily had like shown Mr. Goldblum like pining over Miss Walker and then looking angrily at Mr. Jones, whatever the their names are. And they could have been using spy cameras to do it, to tie it in. The fact that this, you know, unrequited love was never set up as a subplot is just highlighting how phoned in this whole ending is, which probably has to do with the fact that this is a reshoot. The original ending of the movie actually had Miss Stern being the person who was framing Mr. Walker. Supposedly she knew about his embezzlement from way back in the day. She was like a bank customer. So they did a quick reshoot somewhere, but to me it looks like they just had Lexi explain the truth over a shot of them that was already in the can. I couldn't find a version of the alternate ending online, and I don't know why they would switch it like that, especially since the DVD has both. It must have been even worse what they had originally shot, but this is confusing and, again, weak. So, covered in cake, Mr. Granville is arrested by the police for impersonating an officer and fraud, and the mom is like, oh, I've hated you ever since you ran my son out of town. You were a terrible boss. I'm like, if they had had a picture of Mr. Granville at any time, then Lexi could have been like, oh, but that's the guy who said he was Detective Meanie. But I guess whatever. Cameras only exist in this movie when there's spy cameras. Granville is like, well, then arrest Mr. Walker too, because he stole $10 million from the bank client all those years ago. And I'm like, then why are you, as the former bank manager, even worried about it? Isn't there insurance for that kind of thing? You don't personally have to go chasing after him. Is your name US Bank? Is your name George Bank of America? No. Let the people who do that thing do it. So anyway, they're like, you know what? You're right, Mr. Walker, we are putting you in jail unless you can tell us where that $10 million was. And that's when Lexi, fashion eye fashionista, notices a bee brooch on Ms. Petrosian's coat, just like the pendant she noticed earlier. And she's like, wait, where did you get that? And then Ms. Petrosian's like, oh, actually I found it when I was waiting for Nicholas Petrosian at the bank at his job. It was in a paper bag under the chair, and I decided to keep it because no one claimed it. And that's when Lexi is like, aha, I solved the case.
There are less than 30 certified canary diamonds around the world. With its vivid color, unique shape, and flawless condition, it's probably worth around $10 million.
What, you don't read the gem appraisal fun facts printed on the wrapper of your sanitary napkins? It's the most fun part of controlling my gonorrhea discharge. What am I saying? There is no least fun part of controlling my discharge, okay? I'm fun and carefree. Life is a gonorrhea party and the whole town is invited. Woo! Oh, I I just got a CDC alert saying I'm not allowed to have any more gonorrhea parties. No problem. I'll just update the invite to be called Nick Syphilis Shindig. Been a real busy summer over here. There we have it. So we just found out that Mr. Granville, after he stole that money, framed by putting it in an offshore account, then quickly removed it. He laundered it by buying this canary diamond brooch, which truly has no connection to anything. Why a brooch? He never said. Why did he invest in a diamond? We don't know. Could he have been like a former jeweler or some sort of jewel thief who loves diamond? Like, why did he buy a diamond with it? So after that B brooch went missing, Granville assumed that Nicholas Petrosian stole it, and that's why he, especially because Nicholas Petrosian fled the bank, so that's why Granville was like menacing him with threatening notes over the years. But ta-da, turns out Granville there is the only bad guy, and he's taken away, covered in cake, which is somebody's fetish, seeing Mr. Sheffield covered in royal frosting. I know that.
You're a genius, Lexi.
In what part of the brain do you store this information?
The bauble department.
Oh, so your brain is organized like a department store in the 1920s. Got it. What American teenager in 2002 had ever even seen a store with a baubles department? They just call it jewelry now. I guess it's just another example of the hip teens on a Disney Channel movie randomly talking like my Nana when she's shopping for a new necklace at Sears. They'll be like, hold on, I gotta download this email before we can go cut a rug near the jukebox. Okay, someone from the 60s wrote this script. Finally, Mr. Walker is completely cleared of his crimes, and Ms. Dawson thanks Lexi for helping clear his name, and she even got another article about this whole adventure published in the newspaper. And Ms. Walker's like, you're gonna make a great journalist one day, or a great detective. And I'm like, really? I don't know how journalism helped here at all. It just kind of, she got into someone else's business, reported it, and then everyone's life was ruined. Like, it's just gonna be more of that. But all is well for Mr. Walker and Mrs. Dawson. They finally get married, like Lexi was hoping they would since finding out about their romance. And Jack, you can tell, is really ready to start seriously dating his girl because he gifts her with a pair of bowling shoes. I forgot to mention, he said he bowled in one scene and she was like, ew, used shoes? Like, why that? Why that? Is he supposed to be a Navy fanatic? Which, no thanks. Or is he supposed to be obsessed with journalism but sort of nearsighted? And then randomly he's a bowler? Like, that's the normal amount of things to be into for a real life person. But for this character, I'm like, I forgot about the bowling altogether.
I think I can survive wearing pre-worn shoes, guys. Are you crazy? Come on, Jen. My feet aren't that elite, neither are yours. Get with the planet.
You get with the planet, Lexi, and speak for yourself. Maybe you don't have elite feet, but my footsie is actually won Miss Grand Supreme at the Skanky Lil Feet pageant. Get a load of these award winners. I've lost a lot of toenails since winning that title due to some rusty metal that I stepped on. But under the gangrene, I assure you, these are some skanky lil feet. Oh. And now that's truly all she wrote about this murder mystery that turns out to be just a whole bunch of embezzlement. I wish all violent crimes were just financial at the end of it all. What did you guys think of Get a Clue, both when it came out and now looking back at it? It's a little dull, a little dry for me, especially compared to Life Size and Parent Trap, which got very few bad things to say about those. I think, again, what I love most about this movie, probably what I remembered most about this movie, was the Milo and Otis song. Got a little question now, there's something going on now. My friends are up, my teacher had a meltdown, and a voice inside tells me what I must do. Wake up, who knew? It's me, it's you, get a clue. Iconic. Let me know what you thought of that song and this movie. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more movies starring Bug Hall. And also, if you're new to my channel, most importantly, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right over here. Hit the notification bell icon. That way you'll always be the first to know when I upload my 2 videos per week. I don't want you to miss a second, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I've got some hot tea on my horny teachers to share with you. Also, I've got merch available and a Patreon where you can access exclusive benefits like virtual watch parties, bonus content, merch, and more. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for Wake Up, who knew? It's me, it's you, get a clue with me today. I will see you next time.